Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing some maintenance on the 574. You can come along with me and I can show you what I'm doing. Everybody does stuff maybe a little bit differently. Some people do it at different intervals. I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong, just to kind of share what I'm doing. If you've got something else that you do or something that you don't agree with, leave it in the comments. Let me know. Let's get to it. The single most important thing in a shop: coveralls. Otherwise, you hear about that frequently. So it's starting to warm up here a little bit. It's about 55 out. I've been doing maintenance on stuff now. That way I don't have to worry about doing it when it's 80, 90 degrees up here. So last week, I did not film any of it, but I did all the maintenance on the log skidder here. There is a lot of oil in that thing. I did not realize that. I believe I changed out over 20 gallons. So lots of oil. But today I'm gonna be working on something a little newer, a little more modern. So we'll see how it goes. And by the way, all of this stuff is absolutely filthy dirty. I get it. That should be one of the first things I'm doing, but it's still pretty cold to be washing equipment. So I'm gonna do that the next couple months. I'll get everything washed up. First thing I'm going to do, and I do this quite a bit, but I'm going to get this screen out here. As you can see, there's a bunch of garbage on it. Get that blown out with the air compressor, and then I'm actually going to blow out the front and back of the radiator, the transmission cooler, basically just get everything clean. Blown out. This obviously is the screen. If this gets too full, it'll prevent airflow from getting to the radiator. All right, so this is just a ice scraper, and I just use this to kind of brush off all the stuff on there. As far as this is concerned, I'll get that with a pressure washer when I'm actually washing the tractor. I just wanted to get the vast majority of the big stuff off of this, so good enough. Air passes through. The next thing I want to do is blow out the fuel cooler, the transmission cooler, the radiator, all that stuff, get everything clean. Then I will open this up. I don't want to take this cover off while I'm blowing this out, because then you're filling that intake up with dust. So I'm going to start on the back side back here. Sorry, my poor little 6-gallon compressor over here is about to choke. Why is this little strip here? I'm not sure what that is, if that's some kind of like foam material or what. If somebody can tell me why they picked foam for that, is it just a cost thing? I would think rubber would be a lot better, because this is the one thing that holds dust on the front of this. The dust just kind of seems to pack into that. It just seems like it'd be better if it was rubber and not foam, but I don't know. One other thing to point out, this battery, I've had this machine for 2 years. The battery's never let me down. This is the original Interstate that came in this. The reason I bring that up is I see that a lot on the Facebook groups about people saying how their factory batteries are garbage, or, you know, whatever, you have to change the battery. That's the original battery, and I haven't had any problems with it. So I don't know if that's just a individual experience. I'm gonna do real quick, you'll see this. These vents right here seem to hold a lot of stuff. If you look right there, you can see Bogey. He's hanging out. He's torn because he's got his chickens on that side of the house and I'm on this side, so he's got to be right there so he can react. All right, so let's get this guy. Take this. Ow. Woo. So This is trash. New air filter. That on. The other thing you want to make sure you do is kind of wiggle this, your dirt collector, or whatever it's called, I don't know. I just basically take it, squeeze it, roll it over, dump it out. Pop that back on. So this is clipped on in all three places. The radiator's been blown out. Now, I am going to actually move on to this. This overflow bottle, it's got some kind of a tiny crack in it. It's been there forever. I just haven't gotten around to changing it. I have a new one, so I'm going to go ahead and swap this out. Okay, so little barb on there was hung up. So this is trash. I can, if you look up here, see there's a tiny little crack on that somewhere. I don't know where, but it slowly leaks fluid when it's kind of splashed around or moved around like that. And so then I get a big whiff of antifreeze on the tractor. It's annoying, but I got one of these under warranty, so I'm just going to swap it out. Take this, insert like so, grab the clippy squeezy thingy, whatever you call it, and slide that on, and that's how that works. I will fill that up here in a moment. Let's check out the radiator. Right. I don't know if you can see that from where you are, but taking a finger right there. I mean, I literally went into just past my knuckles, so that is full. The radiator's capped off. Everything is blown out. I still have to stick the screen back in there. The bottle is changed. It's filled with fluid. Radiator is good. Air filter is good. Now I'm going to move on to my front axle. All right. So this is a 14 millimeter. My 14 millimeter socket did not care for this. So, just use a wrench. Nice. All right, so I'm gonna let this side drain, and let's go to the other side. That side is still draining right away. So is this side. So that's going to take some time to drain. 380.4. So for those of you that are wondering, yes, I went 30 hours over on my service. But it was cold out, man. Skid plate that I made out of a piece of metal, and I just took the bolt out here, drilled a hole in it, put it back. It doesn't move, and it just kind of protects that primary line there. That skid plate has been used probably hundreds of times. Keep in mind, I was doing that before they had the whole skid plate kits, which I don't have to have this machine in the woods nearly as much now since I have, since I've got this guy. This is kind of my run over trees and drag stuff through the woods machine. So we've got the hub, the axle, and the other hub draining. They're pretty much so done. I've put a little bit of fluid in all of them, a couple pumps, just to flush it out, get, you know, anything that might be hanging out in the bottom pushed out, and gonna go ahead and put the plugs back in and refill. On each side, you've got a plug and then a fill port there. So those are what I'm doing. And then you've also got a plug there. And the fill port is right on top of the axle there. So by far the hardest part was actually right here. This is the oil fill here. But the plug that goes in here, that was by far the worst to get out. I just couldn't get a wrench on it. So I had to use vice grips to pull that apart, but that was not fun getting that out. All right, so looking down here, if you notice this plug, it's got a bunch of, just call it crud, right about there in the threads. What I'm going to do is stick that in the vise and wire brush it out. Do you have to do this? No. I just think it makes a better seal. I think it's to seal. I think it's less stuff to get stuck in the threads, and it will make it easier next time. What I'm also going to do, that I'm sure there's some controversial opinion on somewhere that says this will make the world end if you do it. I am going to use some Permatex on the threads, the anti-seize stuff. Alright, so good enough. I mean, it's not perfect, but I got all the big chunks of goo out. I am a huge fan of this stuff. I used it on all my fill plugs on the log skidder. If you guys have a better way, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm just going to put this stuff on here. This is what's called anti-seize, and it basically, it is exactly what it says. It prevents it from the plug getting stuck in there from rust or whatever. And I understand it's going into oil, but just makes me feel better, so that's what I'm doing. All right, and so now I'm going to pull this tray over here for the overflow that will inevitably happen, and I am pumping this up with oil. Some people will actually flush these out with diesel fuel, and there's controversial opinions on it. I'm not going to do that on a machine this new, but once this has, you know, several thousand hours on it, I probably will. Alright, so that is definitely full. Overflowing. This guy definitely got mangled coming out, but it's just a plug, it'll be fine. Alright, so this hub is done. I did the other hub, I didn't film it. If you've seen one, you've seen both of them. Same thing. And I also did clean up the drain plug for the front axle, and then added anti-seize to it, and now I'm going to fill up the axle. There's probably about a gallon-ish left in this 5-gallon bucket, so I'll probably, I don't know exactly how much this takes. There's a dipstick on it, so or run half of this in there and check it and add it as necessary. These little Harbor Freight pumps kind of give you a workout, but I mean, this is way faster than just using a funnel and letting it gravity drain. So if time is in your concern, this is faster than gravity draining with a funnel, but requires far more effort than just using an electric pump. Half of what was left in there. I'll check this. I don't think it'll even be on the stick, but may as well check. Didn't think that would happen. Might even be overfilled. I might have to let some out. This is pretty thick oil though, so I'm going to give this a minute and make sure that it's level in there. Yeah, I mean that's, I don't know. The full is right there and it's maybe a 1/4 inch above it. So that might just kind of slosh around in there and go down to full. So I don't think it's worth losing sleep over. So like I said, I'll check it in a little bit. If it's still too full, I'll drain it. All right. So this is Tidy Cats. Not really brand specific, just is what this one is. Think about what this stuff is used for and think about what I'm using it for here. It's pretty much so the same thing, and this costs a fraction of what it costs to buy floor dry, and you can get this stuff unscented, which is what this is, so that way your garage doesn't smell like nasty flowers or something, but works really well. All right, so up under the tractor now doing the oil. You can see the ratchet right here is on one of the drain plugs. The other drain plug is right here. These actually have 2 separate drain plugs, one on each side. Make sure you don't just do one, because if you do one, you're leaving one of these full with used oil. So make sure you get both drain plugs. They don't necessarily have to be draining at the exact same time, but once one is done, you have to get the other one out and you'll have more fluid on that side. And if you notice, seeing this how it comes out, that's why I have a big wide pan instead of a small one. Unfortunately, underneath this, it's not really possible to get a 5-gallon bucket under here to drain into. So as an overachiever, I got both drain plugs out at the same time. So you can see this one obviously has more than this one. This one came out first, and then this one is draining now. I just want to give that filter a nice smooth surface to seal onto, and then I will take the new filter and smear a little oil on the gasket of it to help it seal as well. While I am waiting for the oil and filter to drain, just to show this, I do have a cinder block on each side of this rear tire as a wheel chock, just in case. That way the machine can't move back and forth. Alright, so I guess I could have shown this before I started. These are the filters I'm using. These are all TYM stuff. I know that everybody says you can get cheaper stuff at Napa or whatever. That's true, but I just like to use what it came with. I would prefer to do that just in case I ever have any kind of a warranty issue or something weird. That's just my opinion though. I mean, you do you kind of thing. This is just what I'm doing. Here is my handy dandy oil filter. Alright, something that I do is just kind of dip your finger in there and just spread oil on this O-ring. Some of the more methodical people will do this same thing but with new oil. It's just not that important to me. So this just kind of gets it a little bit wet and it helps it seal to the side of the machine. Alright, so that is clean, that is wet, and take this and spin it on. Good enough. And now we get to put the drain plugs back in and add some oil. So those of you guys that are wondering what kind of oil that I use Shell Rotella T4 15W40. This is the same stuff, just in a bigger jug. So I'm going to take this jug, dump it into that jug, just makes it easier to handle. And if I'm being honest, I don't remember how much oil this machine takes. It's been, I don't know, a year since I changed the oil in it, so I'm guessing I'll do like 4 quarts and check it, but I think it takes 4.5 or 5.5, something like that. But we'll see. I'm sure some of you are losing your mind. How do you not know how much oil that thing takes? Well, just add more if you need to. Alright, so it's been 2 or 3 minutes. Let's check the oil level. However, I really think this is something TYM kind of missed, is the location of the dipstick. I just kind of feel like this tube should have been extended and it should be a little bit longer. Let's see. So, if we look here, we are about halfway to where we need to be, but you also have to consider we have to allot for the oil filter getting filled. So let's add some more and see. Alright, that looks pretty close. It's basically perfect right on the top notch. And so what I'm going to do is put the plug in here and start this up and let it run for, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes, and check it again. I'm assuming it will go down just a little bit. So, let's check it now. Check it and see. But my guess is that it's just slightly below full. Let's see. Yep, perfect. So that happens because of the oil filter. Once that fills up and then the pump lines and all the other stuff that you just drained out, it takes up a little bit of fluid. Other thing that I'm kind of curious about, I did not remove any oil from this axle, but this has been sitting here for, I don't know, probably about a half hour. I've taken a couple of phone calls since I've been doing this and stopped the camera, but let's check this out. Because if you remember, this was well over the full line, about a 1/4 inch, I believe I said, and I wanted to drive it a bit. Let's see where it is now. Huh, see that? I don't know where exactly you're seeing, but it's only to right there, whereas before it was up to there. This 90 weight gear oil is very, very thick. So you almost have to give it a little bit of time to spread out before you're going to get an accurate fill count or level count. Oil dipstick, perfect. So, wonderful. Oil is absolutely perfect. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, as this is my 350-hour service, I don't know that it necessarily needs it, but I am going to change this whole fuel filter setup. If I do have anybody that's a pro watching, you're probably rolling your eyes and shaking your head and screaming at your phone, computer, or tablet, whatever the case may be. This is just kind of how I do it. I figure it out. This is the new fuel filter. So this right here appears to be already tight on there. I don't know if this is like factory sealed or what, but I'm just going to swap this as is where is, and I know there's no fuel in this, so when I go to start it next, it's going to take a minute because this is going to have to fill with fuel. When I did these on the log skidder, that has two really big fuel filters. There's a primary and a secondary, and those are huge, and they would have taken 10 minutes worth of cranking that thing to get them to fill. So this is just a small one. Should fill relatively quickly when trying to start it. Got it on the first try, for those of you wondering. This is a 12 millimeter that holds this. Probably not going to keep anyone up tonight, but just so you know. There we have the through bolt. And this, yeah, this is coming off of that. So this will go up here. Put this on. Tighten this just because I'm holding it. I don't know if you guys are into the play-by-play commentary or if this is like torture, but either way. This might have fuel come out, maybe? Nope. Cool. That's interesting. So this, of course, I mean, you can see the air bubble there and the fuel dumping out. I didn't notice that, but that's full of fuel. And this, push that up. Now, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this. Like I said, I'm by no stretch a mechanic. My guess is this is going to attempt to fire once, just based off of the, or it might even start and then die, based off of whatever the remaining fuel in the line is, and it'll run off that for maybe a split second, maybe not, and then it's going to die until this gets primed and pumped full. I don't know if I should take that apart and add diesel to it. Like I said, I did that on the log skidder, but those filters are basically like oil filters. They're actually just like that, but a lot bigger. Whereas this is a sealed unit, so if I'm not supposed to open it, I don't want to. I don't know that it would matter if I did, but either way, here we go. Are cooking off. I'm gonna go ahead and start this, and we should be able to watch that fill up, I think. Yep. See the fuel? Surprised it hasn't died yet, because there's no fuel going out. It might in a second, but Done. I figured the tractor would die. I didn't think there would be enough fuel left in the line to keep it running like that, but I'm obviously not a mechanic, so surprise. But either way, it worked. Now, let's go ahead and pull this out. Hang that there. And we'll check this guy. When I was adding to this, I added 8 pumps. So that appears to be, when screwed in, filled to the bottom. I like to screw these in and then check. I don't know if you're supposed to. It's just kind of my thing. Yeah. So we're filled up to the bottom. Still needs more. Based on what that did, I counted 8 pumps last time and that got halfway. So I'm going to do 12. That was 12 pumps. And going to hang out and let that settle and we'll check it. Welcome to the rear end up underneath the tractor. So let me make sure I set this down. So yeah, you can see where I'm at here. So this plug is what holds all the kryptonite for the hydrostatic tractor. So I'm going to drop this out, and there is more fluid in this than I have fill buckets, I think. So I may have to do that more than once. But that is I don't know, I'm at 380 hours on that fluid, and that looks, I mean, perfect. I mean, look at that. That is absolutely perfect looking fluid. I can get more fluid in these, but I don't want to push it when I'm trying to carry them or move them. There is a lot of this magical elixir in here. I don't know how much exactly, but again, we'll figure it out. So I've got that tub, and this tub is pretty quickly filling. I think I'm going to have to go drain these 3 and come back. And that's kind of what's left. So it's kind of working its way out. Now I'm going to grab this filter. I don't remember putting that on there that tight. I put this on here a while ago. Huh. Let's get this one off. This is ridiculously tight. Wow. Just no need for it to be that tight. It's where you have to deform it to get it off. Look at that. I mean, there's just not a need for that. I don't know why they make them that tight. Alright, so back under the tractor here. This guy, I just stuck this back in. There's a couple threads sticking out. This is what it looked like before. It's tight, I assure you. And then I did this filter as well. That one's done. And now I need to come over here and do the larger filter. Alright, so grabbing this big filter, and we'll get some oil on the seal. You know, it's odd. I actually do not do the maintenance on any of my vehicles. I take it to a shop and have it done. This thing, I do it all on my own. Same with the skidder. About a 3-hour drive to the nearest dealer. And I have no idea what this would cost, but I'm guessing what I'm doing would be probably $1,500, maybe $2,000 there. I don't want to dent that one with this. This is a big filter, so I think it's plenty tight. I don't think it's gonna leak. If it does, I'll take it. Alright, just so I can say that I showed it, right here, this is where I fill up with hydrostatic and transmission fluid. Or hydrostatic, hydraulic fluid. That stuff, the trans hydraulic oil. So, just to kind of recap what I've done here, also keeping in mind, I did take like a 2-hour lunch and I was on the phone a couple times, but so what I've done is engine oil, oil filter. I replaced the overflow tank, filled that up, checked out the radiator, made sure that was full, blew out the radiator, blew out the screen. Also, all 3 of the radiators got kind of blown out, and I also blew out the pre-screen, changed the air filter. The hydraulic filter, I did both of those. I'm doing the hydraulic fluid now. The front axle oil, the front hub oil, I still need to, which I'm not going to film this because obviously, but I still need to go through and tighten all my lugs, bolts on the machine, you know, just that stuff. Everybody should do that periodically. And then also greasing all my zerts, but I don't think you guys want to watch me grease zerts. So realistically, I'm going to say I've been doing this for, I don't know, maybe 3 hours, if that. But the thing is, the filters on this were pretty tight, so that was a pretty big challenge to get those to break free. Other than that, honestly, it's very basic stuff. I really don't see this as being anything super advanced. And like I said, doing this at a dealer, you're probably $1,500, $2,000 into it. At least I know that's what I would be where I am in my area. I don't know about where you would be. But I would say, yeah, I'd be somewhere about, you know, $1,500, $2,000. And between the fluids and the filters and the everything, all in, I don't know, I'm guessing probably $400. So I'm saving myself a pretty good chunk of change, somewhere between $1,100 and $1,600. So all for about 3 hours worth of work.